6 Richest Women in History. This ranking measures a person's wealth against the global economy of the time. 6. Lillian Bettencourt. Peak wealth, global GDP, 0.055%. Bettencourt was an heiress to L'Oréal Cosmetics. She inherited a stake from her father. Her wealth peaked at $44.3 billion in 2015. Under Bettencourt's control, L'Oréal acquired other brands. These include Lancôme and Ralph Lauren's Polo fragrance. Bettencourt died as the richest woman in the world. 5. Isabel of Castile. Peak wealth, global GDP, 1%. Queen Isabella I ruled a rich Spanish empire. She married her cousin Ferdinand, uniting Spain. She had an annual income of 1.45 million ducats. 1,000 ducats equals 110.7 ounces of gold. Gold is currently valued at $1,230 per ounce. So Isabella was making $200,000 a year. She amassed $5 billion over her 30-year reign, but she didn't necessarily bathe in luxury. Isabella was known to dress simply. She spent much of her reign at war with Granada. Even her crown was relatively simple, made of plain gold with fleur-de-lis designs rather than elaborate precious stones. 4. Cleopatra. Peak wealth, global GDP, 2.6%. Cleopatra ruled Egypt from 51 to 30 BC. She was the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty. She oversaw industries like wheat and papyrus. Her annual income was up to 15,000 talents. This equals around $96 billion today. Cleopatra traveled on a golden barge. Her main palace was so impressive that it was set to rival Rome. The court hosted feasts with exotic foods and wines. Cleopatra bestowed lands, titles, and tax breaks on her favorites. Yet she also borrowed from other rulers to fund wars. 3. Catherine the Great. Peak wealth, global GDP, 5.4%. Catherine the Great ruled Russia during its golden age. Her reign was the longest ever for a female ruler in Russian history. Catherine was worth at least $1.5 trillion. She owned vast territory and serfs. She commissioned many lavish palaces, including the Hermitage. She also built the Palace of Tsarskoye Selo. Her jewelry collection featured the Orlov diamond, pearl necklaces, and emerald tiaras. 2. Hatshepsut. Peak wealth, global GDP, 20%. Hatshepsut was Egypt's second queen regnant. She rose to power after her husband and half-brother died. She ruled for 2 decades. She oversaw extensive gold and copper mines. The gold alone was worth $2 billion in today's money. Hatshepsut was a prolific builder. She commissioned the Karnak Temple complex and the Red Chapel. Her mortuary temple was located at Deir el-Bahari. Her tomb contained canopic jars, jewelry, and gilded ceremonial beds with lioness claws. 1. Empress Wu. Peak wealth, global GDP, 22.4%. Wu Zetian was a ruthless woman. She started as a concubine to an emperor and then his son. Wu eliminated rivals for the son's affection. She killed her newborn daughter to frame the emperor's top consort. Wu made her own sons abdicate. She ruled China's Tang dynasty from 690 to 705 CE. Wu had access to the imperial treasury and tax revenues. She oversaw the production of over 300 million currency units. Wu was the richest woman in the ancient world.